Well, greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Truthseekers. Tonight, I'm going to get something off my to-do list. Something has been on my to-do list for quite some time, and like any nagging task that we know we will not enjoy, we put it off. And I have put tonight's task off for quite some time, sure in the knowledge that I would take no pleasure in completing the task, but knowing full well that the task needs to be completed in order for me to move forward, to do that which I have to do. And so tonight, I take no pleasure in what I'm going to present tonight. In fact, I hate that I have to do this, but I truly feel like somebody has to do it. And if nobody else is going to stand up and get this done, then I will. If nobody else is going to stand up and say what needs to be said, then let it be me. So let it be me, friends. Now, it's important that I just mentioned that tonight's show is about Richard Dolan, an early hero of mine. Really, growing up and being into this UFOs and aliens stuff, my two biggest heroes were Stanton Friedman and Richard Dolan. I've been following Richard Dolan since he kind of came onto the scene, but it was really his first book, which I believe was around 2002, that really got me following and impressed with one Richard Dolan. For those that don't know, Richard Dolan is a researcher, lecturer, author who studies the topic of UFOs and aliens and secret space programs. He's sort of known to be the trusted voice, to be the grounded one. He's not out there just telling stories. He does actual research. He looks into archives. He was once very focused on finding evidence and proof. He's been on Ancient Aliens and countless television shows and documentaries. He has made a living at this thing for decades now, I suppose, having authored so many books and been a fixture at just about every major UFO conference for years and years and years. This is his living. And listen, there's nothing wrong with making a living. I'm not going to comment on whether we should have professional ufologists or not. I think if there's value in something and people want to buy it, great. The problem that I have with all of these people is that if what you are selling it as factually correct, you are selling it as this is a true story, and then it isn't a true story, to me, there's certainly ethical and moral problems with that. And I believe that there should be legal problems with that. There's a very fine line between clickbait and fraud. And some of these people operate right in that gray area. How far can I push fake shit that I'm selling? How far can I push this thing before I do get in legal trouble? And I believe a lot of them go right to the edge, man. They go right to the edge because many of them make statements that they're claiming are factual, but they cannot back them up. I used to think Richard Dolan was not one of those people. Some people have commented that I have stopped covering a lot of what I used to call cosmic con men. People like when I do that. People like to know the real truth behind some of these guys out there selling UFO and alien stories. And the truth is, I used to beat up on several people that are out there selling fairy tales. But lately, the more I think about it, it's not fair to just beat up on one or two of these guys because they're the really fantastical ones. They're the ones that really lie all the time. But these other guys over here, this other team, oh, they're the good guys. There are no good guys or bad guys in this. There are certainly teams and cliques of people that all hang around each other. And they help each other make more money selling UFO fairy tales and alien fabricated stories about aliens and Area 51. They all help each other out. And you know what? It's a big club, and I ain't in it, but I know a lot about that big club. And tonight, I'm going to sort of spill the beans on some of this stuff. And the reason I'm doing it is because somebody has to. Somebody's got to stand up and say, this is what's happening all around our community, and everybody's, it's the elephant in the room, friends. It's the elephant in the room, and it's been in this room for years. And we just allow it to happen, and some people reach a certain level of prominence in that big club, and you're not supposed to be critical of them. You're not supposed to say that what they're selling is fake. Even if it is, keep your mouth shut. He's a good researcher. You're way off base. You don't know what you're talking about. All the people telling me things like that don't have the facts in hand before putting their mouth in gear. And that, my friends, is a stupid way to engage me. Do you think that I'm going to do something like this without having facts in hand before putting my mouth in gear? Hell no. We've got evidence to prove that some of these stories being peddled around are complete and total fabrications. We're just supposed to give the people doing this a pass? No, I don't think so. And as bad as some of the really fantastical people like Corey Good and David Wilcock get, selling absolute fairy tales with totally fake sources, nothing that's based in reality whatsoever, conversely, the other side of the coin is just as bad. They're just better at it. They're better at the packaging. Make this shit look legitimate. Make it look like this could really be real. Let's really do this up so it looks like we have actual evidence and facts. But when you peel the onion, friends, when you peel back some layers, they don't have shit either. These guys don't have shit either. They have bad fake sources. They have a lack of research into the people they're calling sources. It's very easy to say this guy was a CIA agent. It's difficult to have the proof before you say with your mouth that this guy is a CIA agent. If you're going to say this is a CIA agent and profit from stories you're selling about that supposed CIA agent, you better have proof that he's an actual CIA agent. So tonight we're going to be talking about this thing that was put together by Jeremy Corbell with Richard Dolan called CIA Deathbed Confession. Friends, like I said previously, there's a very fine line between clickbait and fraud. If you're putting in the title, Deathbed Confession by CIA Whistleblower, you better have proof. You're taking money for this. You see the problems with this? You put in the title, CIA Deathbed Confession about UFOs. Friends, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say that as a factual statement without the proof. And tonight we're going to get into some of this because this is ridiculous that this is just continued to allow to go on and nobody stands up and say, excuse me, this is bullshit. Why is this allowed? Why can people do this? Why can people take money for fake stories that they're claiming are real? It's ridiculous. And I also want to mention here, first, let's get some business out of the way. This is important. A mutual acquaintance between, let's just say a mutual acquaintance, somebody that knows both Richard Dolan and I contacted me earlier today after I posted the teaser for tonight's show on Twitter and said, what you're doing, Stephen, is not fair. You should have him on to answer for the things that you're going to talk about. And hell yeah, Richard Dolan, you want to come on? Here's what you do. If you want to come on and defend what I'm going to talk about tonight and your actions in this whole shit show, we'd love to have you. But Richard Dolan is too big, high, and mighty to actually address real criticism, or he's too cowardly. But if you would like to, Mr. Richard Dolan, just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. Truthseekershow@gmail.com. Just email me and I can send you a link and you can come right on here and we can have what I'm sure will be a lively and spirited, but I promise you respectful discussion about what I'm talking about tonight. If you want to do that, great. Or if you email me and you just want to call in, we have a call-in line, Mr. Richard Dolan. And if you'd like, you can call in, just voice on your cell phone, and we'll get you right in here and discuss some of this stuff. So, yeah, it is fair. The invitation is there. So don't anybody tell me that what I'm doing here is not fair. It's fair. He can come on if he wants to. Invitation's open. And of course, we would allow him to come on because I'm not scared of open debate. I have facts in hand here. I have evidence. And I'm afraid that Mr. Richard Dolan just does not have the evidence to back up this project that he was involved in that was titled CIA Deathbed Confession about UFOs. Okay? That's what I'll say starting. Now, I believe that at various times, Mr. Richard Dolan has basically sold his proposed credibility in the UFO community to help other people without that credibility that he's perceived to have sell fairy tales. He's done this multiple times, and each time he profits from it. Hey, you need somebody to bolster your story, make people believe it might be real? Hire me, and I'll help. Folks, he has helped promote the Roswell slides. He profited from that, right? He profited from the Roswell slides. For those that don't know, the Roswell slides were supposed to be slides that somebody found of that alien body that crashed in Roswell. And for $50, I believe it was $50, it might have been $25, I can't remember, but there was a big pay-per-view. And it was held in Mexico City, Mexico by Jaime Maussan, the king of fake alien UFO stories down in Mexico, for those that don't know. And why are you, Richard Dolan, working for the king of fake UFO stories down in Mexico? I mean, that's a fair and respectful question, Mr. Dolan. Why did you allow yourself to be hired by somebody who has a proven track record of showing people hoax after hoax after hoax after hoax and profiting off of hoaxes constantly? Constantly, Jaime Maussan. All he does is fake stories and hoaxes. You knew that, but you allowed yourself to become involved with this Roswell Slides event, right? And you were hired to go down there and be a speaker. You profited from the Roswell Slides. Turned out the Roswell Slides were completely and totally fake. It wasn't an alien. It was a mummy taken in a museum, right? And Richard Dolan, hey, good job distancing yourself from this shit show called the Roswell Slides. You did that, right? You participated in that. Later, you said you never believed. You never believed that that there was substantial proof there, right? You tried to distance yourself. You tried to somehow squirm your way out of taking the money and helping promote that hoax, you know? And later, you commented on somebody's radio show. You were shocked and amazed, right? That somebody would have the audacity to be angry at you for participating in that hoax. Hey, Richard Dolan, maybe you don't understand this, but some people shelled out their good, hard-earned money on that hoax. Some of them, and I've talked to them, did it because you were involved. Well, Richard Dolan's involved with this. There must really be something to it. That's what I'm talking about you selling your perceived credibility to the highest bidder of people selling fairy tales. That's what I'm talking about. This is my opinion and speculation that this is what you do. I'm entitled to my opinion. And by the way, Richard Dolan, everybody is entitled to their opinion, okay? And everybody should have their place at the table. Yes, Mr. Richard Dolan, even me, because I'm bringing up valid points here. I'm not being incredibly disrespectful. And by the way, I have to say, people like when I spit venom. People want me to lose my shit and start screaming at you, Richard Dolan, but I'm really going to try my best to get through tonight and be as respectful as possible to somebody that used to be one of my heroes. And that's another point I'd like to make. Friends, it doesn't feel good when your heroes let you down, okay? And I'll be the first to admit, do I have an axe to grind with Richard Dolan? Yeah, You were one of my heroes, Richard Dolan. I respected you. I loved your books. Growing up, I thought, finally, here's a guy with evidence and research, and he's not just out there selling fairy tales. Or are you, Richard Dolan? Or are you? Because as time went on and I became a little more knowledgeable about these subjects myself and more confident in my own investigative abilities, I learned that you, sir, are probably no better than any of those other UFO hucksters, people selling alien fairy tales out there. Okay? So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And you know, man, we have a lot to get through. I'm going to try to get through it. So we've made our point about him selling his credibility to the highest bidder, and it's not just the Roswell slides that he did this with. He also worked with Jeremy Corbell to help promote the Jeremy Corbell Bob Lazar movie, which was filled with lies. And listen, Mr. Dolan, if you ever want to debate me on the Bob Lazar case, actually, I'd like you to debate me and one other person, Dan Bankert, on the Bob Lazar case. You're running around helping this guy selling a UFO documentary about Bob Lazar that's filled and filled and filled with lies, fabrications, half-truths, and bullshittery, right? That's what you're doing. Why are you doing that? You're doing that because it's a big club, right? And I ain't in it, Richard Dolan, so I can say whatever the hell I want because I have nothing to lose here from telling the truth. But you and some of your associates have a lot to lose. You know, those monetized videos, those speaking engagements at UFO conferences, those documentaries you like to make and sell, those books you guys are always hawking. I don't have a financial motive. I don't have a horse in that race. I have nothing to lose or gain from telling people the truth. But tonight, we're going to do that. So the Bob Lazar case is yet another one. Another fake story Richard Dolan is involved in, and the latest and my favorite, the Admiral Wilson documents, who Richard Dolan claimed in a post the UFO leak of the century. Of course, later, Admiral Wilson comes out and says, this is all a work of fiction. None of this happened. But does Richard Dolan apologize for selling that fake story? Of course not. Now he's doubling down, basically implying that an admiral is lying. For what reason, Richard Dolan? Again, he does not have a financial motive. Admiral Wilson has no financial motive. There's nothing that could be considered classified in those documents. He has no reason to lie. He has no financial motive. But people like you and Eric Davis do have a financial motive. You do have a financial motive to keep this fake story alive. Admiral Wilson doesn't have a financial motive to keep the story alive or kill it. He doesn't care. He's a retired guy. Right? Doing his retired thing down in Florida, I believe. Another fake story. Totally fake, busted story that Richard Dolan heavily promoted and made money off of. You know, if he's covering this in monetized videos, he's making money selling fake stories. You made money, Richard Dolan. That's a factual statement. You made money selling fake stories multiple times now. And no one can dispute that. Now, each time you get caught, you can slither away like it didn't happen and pick a new subject to try to run with and sell. But it's not going to get easier for you to do that from here, Richard Dolan, because people like me are waking up. People that used to believe that you were telling us the truth. People that used to trust you are no longer trusting you. People that used to really care for you. People close to you are patting you on the back like you're doing a good job. They're not your friends, Richard Dolan. They're not your friends. They're your fans. There's a difference. Richard Dolan, I would be a friend to you. I would check you when you do wrong because I care about you and I don't want to see you continue down this dark and dangerous path of just selling anything to keep going. And here's the problem. Richard Dolan has to keep going. Some time ago, he decided he was all chips in on this UFO thing. He cannot stop now. He's got to continually find more content constantly about UFOs and aliens to keep his thing going. And what happens if he doesn't? I don't know. But he's got a motive to continue selling stories. And the truth is, friends, there's not enough actual evidence out there. there's not enough actual facts out there for him to keep going like this. He can't keep this up. So he's got to throw in some fairy tales to keep the thing going. Now, I mentioned the Roswell slides and how he was so shocked and amazed that everyone was so upset about his participation in the Roswell slides. And listen, it wasn't just him. It was Don Schmitt and a few other very reputable, credible people. To his credit, Don Schmitt did come on my show, my previous show, and explain what happened, and apologize and attempt to, move on from making what was a terrible mistake. And I give Richard Dolan the same opportunity. Don Schmitt was man enough to come on my show and explain why he was instrumental in perpetrating a hoax. Was he, the guy doing the hoax? No, but he lent his credibility to the hoax. He got behind it. He got involved in it. He went to speak there, He helped promote it, which is exactly what you did. I didn't hear an apology from you. I did it. I'm sorry. If I missed it, somebody send it to me. I didn't hear an apology from Richard Dolan on this. And now, friends, we're going to hear what he has to say about his participation in the Roswell slides. And I think you're going to be a little shocked, because I was. He can't believe why people are pissed off. Hey, Richard Dolan, people paid good money, right? What did it cost to get into the actual conference, right? Wasn't that like $100? I don't know. I can't find how much going to the conference in Mexico City cost. But what was the pay-per-view? How much did they make from that? Tens of thousands of dollars, right? How much did you get paid? What was your cut, Richard Dolan? These are valid questions. Questions you don't want people to ask. You wish people would forget about this. But I don't forget, Richard Dolan, and neither should my viewers. Let's see what he has to say about the Roswell slides. I think I have this queued up, friends. And I'm going to say here, fair use, fair use, fair use. This is from the Where Did the Road Go radio show. I think they do good work. You should support them. I don't think they would mind me using a segment of their show, but we're using this segment of their show for education purposes. This is a transformative work. We're going to be commenting and discussing the clip that I'm going to play. This is the definition of fair use. So here we go. This is fair use. Richard Dolan on this radio show talking about his participation in the Roswell slides.
I will simply tough it through until people kind of forget it or back burner it, and I can go on doing what I do.
Sorry, that's not Richard Dolan. Here comes
I'd like
Richard
to add, one of the more interesting things about this whole event was the reaction. And I really want to say venomous reaction against some of the people involved. Some of which was against myself. A lot of it was against Don and Tom, and a lot of it was against Jaime Maussan.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I can't believe that people were so upset that I helped sell a hoax, that I helped perpetrate a fairy tale that somebody made money off of that was completely and totally fake. Why is there all this venom? I don't know, Richard Dolan. Maybe people are pissed off because they trusted you, or they once did, right? But with each thing like this you do, you degrade any credibility you have left. It's circling the drain. It's circling the drain, Richard Dolan, and you don't see it, and your friends aren't honest with you and telling you this is what is happening out there. This is why your numbers are dropping. This is why people aren't tuning in so much to hear what you have to say. This is why your words hold so much less weight than they did, say, 10 years ago. Let's continue with this.
As if this was some kind of apocalypse for the UFO research field. And I mean, the fact is, when you go through the history of this field, there have been controversies from the beginning. And that makes sense, because this is inherently a difficult subject. It's inherently a mystery. And if you're going to research a mystery, you have to be willing to go in, and sometimes you're going to get it right, and sometimes you're not going to get it right.
Okay. But when you don't get it right, you apologize and explain. And I don't believe that you ever adequately did. This is the only example I can find. Of course, I didn't listen to, 4,000 hours of your streams to try to find what you said. But, I don't understand Richard Dolan being like shocked and amazed that people were upset with him. Yeah, Richard Dolan, people were really upset. And you know what? Largely, I think they forgave you. But then you do it again with the Bob Lazar bullshit case, right? Then you do it again with this CIA deathbed confession case. Then you do it again with this Admiral Wilson leaks case that's fake. How many get out of fake story cards does Richard Dolan get? Why do you keep getting a pass on doing this shit?
To penalize someone or to call them out as someone unethical or someone who really should not be in the field anymore as a result of something like that.
And this ended your career, didn't it?
There were people out there who actually
look, him and his buddies are here laughing like, well, you got away with it, Richard Dolan. This didn't end and this ended your career, right? And everybody's laughing. Congratulate. They should be patting him on the back. Congratulations, Richard Dolan. You got that speaking conference fee. You got those monetized videos, right? You got all that money for this hoax, and you're getting away with it. It didn't end your career. You're going to keep rolling on, selling more UFO stories. And is it ethical, Richard Dolan? You mentioned ethics there. Is it ethical for you to take part in a hoax? Is it ethical for you to help a hoaxer sell a fake story and make tens of thousands of dollars from people? Is that ethical? You're upset because people said it wasn't ethical for you to do that? Maybe Mr. Learned college guy should go back to college and take a college level ethics class. If you can't understand why people said that what you did was unethical, you need to take an ethics class. Maybe you missed that class, Richard Dolan. I don't know.
Said, well, Dolan's career is over. And I'm like, really? My career will be over when I decide I don't want to do this anymore. Thank you very much. And I think Don and Tom can say the same thing. But no, there's obviously a kind of histrionic overreaction that some people had. It's life, and you just move on, and sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, sometimes you get it right. Sometimes you don't. Did you give the money back? Richard Dolan, when you get it wrong, do you give all the money back from the wrong cases that you're involved in, that you're making money from? Because that would be the ethical thing to do too, right? I believe that would be the ethical thing to do. Did you give the money back? I just can't believe that he's so surprised, that people are surprised. He's so surprised that people are upset with him. Okay. Now, friends, we're going to move on to the meat of this thing, and that is the CIA deathbed confession. Now, listen, friends, I was going to do a huge deep dive on this CIA deathbed confession some time ago, and then I found that someone had already picked it apart piece by piece and presented all kinds of evidence proving that the gentleman in this CIA deathbed confession is literally wrong about almost everything he says. It's an incredible debunk that was time-stamped. Now, I want to also mention one other thing. The person that did the debunk was Dan Bankert. He took the time to timestamp, so that each time the person was talking about something, he timestamped and showed why the guy was lying. Jeremy Corbell, I believe, was so pissed at Dan Bankert's debunk of his fake story here that he, right after Dan Bankert posted the debunk proving all this stuff that the guy was lying about, Jeremy Corbell changed the video. He took some of the video out so that the video would I believe, this is opinion and speculation, but it's no coincidence that he did this right after the debunk was posted by Dan Bankert. Jeremy Corbell changed the length of the video to make it really a lot harder for people to follow the debunk. Following it right on the timestamp, however, I don't believe is important. The important part is the information that was presented and what the facts and evidence are, okay? So, friends, I got to tell you, I don't trust most people. I'm just not a very trusting person. So I talked to Dan earlier today, and, we just talked very briefly. He doesn't want to really be that involved, but he's letting me use, his research. And here's the deal. I explained to him, I don't generally trust people. So what I did is I went over his debunk, and every place that was, he's mentioning factual statements that you could check. I checked to see if what he was saying was entirely factually accurate. And on each point, I agree that it is. Some of the stuff is a little bit of speculation, but I still agree with the speculation. But some of the things cannot be actually, point by point. I can't call to verify some of the stuff and fact check it, but I still have tremendous respect for what he did, because friends, it's not right what these people are doing. It's just not right. Just not right what these guys are doing. And we're going to get to the debunk, but you have to give me a moment, friends. So just give me a moment, because I'm getting the screenshots that I have of the actual debunk. And in the meantime, I also want to mention that the story of this CIA agent was brought to Jeremy Corbell and Richard Dolan by Linda Moulton Howe. And we all know, if anybody doesn't know, Linda Moulton Howe's sources are all fake, from fake astronauts to fake SEALs. She gets caught every time she puts out a big story with a source. She gets caught using a fake source. Linda Moulton Howe is the source for this information, this supposed CIA agent. So first of all, no, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that Linda Moulton Howe is the originator of this source. And by the way, Linda Moulton Howe, you can't keep doing this either. Oh, and they're buddies too. Yeah, it's a big club and you ain't in it. In fact, Richard Dolan and Linda Moulton Howe share an employee in common. They both use the same social media manager. So when Linda Moulton Howe runs around selling fake stories, it's okay because they're buddies. He won't comment on any of Linda Moulton Howe's fake stories because they're buddies. And I get that. He's lost his objectivity with her because they're friends. He can't comment even when Linda Moulton Howe gets caught dead to rights, for example, selling a fake alien photo that was supposed to be taken on the moon, but it was actually taken from a 2005 video game cover called Area 51. Yeah, she did that. I asked Richard Dolan to comment on it. I heard crickets. Funny that, Mr. Richard Dolan. But hey, let's get to this deathbed confession, right? We're not gonna play a lot of this deathbed confession because there's just not time to go through the whole thing point by point and match it up with the debunk. We're going to play just a little bit of Richard Dolan speaking at the beginning of it and a little bit of the interview. And again, we're going to cite fair use. We are discussing this. We're educating the public on some people that are running around selling fake stories about aliens. And some people the public deserves to be informed and educated that some people are running around selling fake stories about CIA agents that aren't really CIA agents, talking about UFOs and aliens and stories that there is no factual evidence to support, but people are selling it as a factual story. Hey, here we go. We're going to play Richard Dolan talks right before the interview. And, I'm playing this because I had a problem with some of the stuff that he said, even in the introduction to this, because he makes these statements as if they're 100% factual. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, friends. Thought I had it. Now, friends, right there, he says there are aliens interacting with planet Earth. Okay, Richard Dolan, you're just going to make that like it's a factual statement? You're not going to show us the goods? You're not going to give us the evidence that what you're saying is true here? And when you really start to listen to this guy, this is what you get. You're just like, look, I've researched all this stuff. You should trust me. There really are aliens interacting with our planet. But he never provides the proof of these statements. He just speaks like they're fact, like what he's saying is factual. Okay, Richard Dolan, it's factual. Richard Dolan, maybe they're here so you can make money off of them, right? Because you like to make money off of them. I mean, this is your career, making money off of UFO and alien stories. Maybe they came here just so that Richard Dolan could make some good cheddar selling stories about aliens. It's as good a theory as any of yours, just saying. You got to bring in the government cover-up. Richard Dolan is really big on the government cover-up. And do I think the government covers stuff up? Absolutely. On that part, we agree. I believe there is a government cover-up, but it's not involving aliens, friends. My theory is that it's involving black projects and secret weapons that they don't want the general public to know about. So we're going to skip ahead here, and we're going to just listen to just a short segment of this interview. And there we go. We're going to go from right here. There's the studious looking Richard Dolan. Remember, he said signal training course, folks. That's a debunk. That's incorrect terminology that no military man would make. No military man would term it that way, because that's not the way. It's just, friends. I said I wasn't going to get upset. I said I wasn't going to get angry. Hello, this is Steven.
Stephen, it's BG, the Brook.
Hey,
Got that audio.
I've got no
audio on the Dolan video.
Okay, thank you. Let me fix that. Thank you.
No worries.
Oh, I'm sorry, friends. Jeez, I did it again. All right, let's go back to this. We're going to stop the share. Click this stupid box. All right, friends. So we're going to have to go back over that, but it's okay. We're going to skip the part where Richard Dolan speaks, because you heard what I was saying. He makes statements like aliens are visiting Earth, as if those statements are factually correct, and he's already got the proof of that, but he never provides the proof. Then we get to the actual interview, and again, Richard Dolan and Jeremy Corbell are putting this out there that this is a CIA agent on his deathbed giving a confession, his deathbed confession about UFOs and aliens, right? And the gentleman is using terms that no military man would use, but that's just part of the reason that the guy's fake. And we'll get to the proof, but first let's take a listen to some of this. And thank you, BGs, for the save. Boy, I'm sorry. I got to start monitoring the live chat.
I went through the signal training course. And at that time, I went through the radio teletype course and also the cryptography course, crypto. They had 5 instructors that were getting out of military service. So they pulled the top 5 students, and I was 3rd in the class.
Here's just a note. Every one of these whistleblowers, it doesn't matter which whistleblower, the fake whistleblowers always make themselves the hero of the story. Yeah, he took a cryptography course and he was 3rd in his class. Okay. And I just want to say, while we're watching this, Richard Dolan, you know what? In the beginning of this, you said this man was in the military. We have verified he is who he says he is. Richard Dolan, you said that, not me. You made that statement. We have verified he is who he says he is. He was in the military, right? And the title of the video is CIA Agent Deathbed Confession. So I guess you verified that he was actually in the CIA, as well as verifying his military credentials, right? Because in the beginning of this video, you said, we have verified he is who he says he is. Richard Dolan, did you really verify him? I have my doubts.
As an instructor.
Now, were you at this time also working yet for CIA?
No,
Not yet?
no. After one day, my boss came to me, and he,
Notice he said boss. Dan Bankert correctly pointed out in his debunk that a military man would not say boss. A military man would say my sergeant, my colonel, my major, whoever their superior was has a rank, and that's how military men talk. This man is saying my boss. That's how a civilian talks. Perhaps a civilian whose only real world experience in the world was working in a supermarket would say my boss and not my sergeant, my corporal, my colonel. It's a very subtle thing, but it's important.
said, how would you like to, make some extra money? And I said, oh, money is good. So he's explained to me that he could put it through, would have to get a top secret White House Q clearance.
Dan Baker makes another excellent point in his debunk. This gentleman basically says that he got a Q clearance overnight, and the next thing he knew, he was on top secret bases. No, friends, even back then, it took something, a significant amount of time to get a Q clearance because Q clearance dealt with nuclear weapons. And that was the height of the Cold War, 58, 59, the height of the Cold War. No way this guy's getting a Q clearance overnight and walking into a top secret military base. That is completely and totally factually wrong. There's no way this can happen, Richard Dolan, and you're supposed to be a historian. You studied the Cold War, Richard Dolan. Did you not catch that? Why did Dan Bankert have to catch it? Why do I have to catch it? Why didn't you catch that? There's no way he's getting a Q clearance and the next day showing up on top secret bases.
For the job, And I thought, boy, must be a pretty exclusive thing, And I said, well, what is this? And he said that I'm director for the CIA for Eastern United States.
Yes. So somebody that just joined the military just so happens to join the U.S. Army, and his boss, he's supposed to say my commanding officer or my sergeant, whatever, just so happens to be the head of the CIA for the Eastern United States. What a stroke of luck. How fortunate for this young man to get to join the Army, and suddenly his boss or commanding officer is the head of the CIA. Richard Dolan, you're a history professor. Did you ask him the name of his commanding officer? Did you check that his commanding officer was real? Or did you just accept this man's fake story? You said that he is who he says he is. A little corroboration would have went a long way. Get the name of his commanding officer, do a FOIA request. Can we see your FOIA request, Richard Dolan, for this story about this gentleman or his commanding officer that was supposed to be the head of the CIA? That would be good. You're supposed to be this great researcher, this learned man with a history degree, right? I don't have a history degree. Dan Bankert doesn't have a history degree. How do we catch? How are you not catching this stuff? How are you not doing the work that needed to be done before you sat there and participated in this? It's your reputation on the line, not mine. It doesn't matter to me that you did this, except that you let me down and you were once my hero. To that extent, it matters to me, but it's not my reputation. It was yours. You had the responsibility to vet this man, to do a FOIA request, to ask for his DD-214. Do you have that, Richard Dolan?
And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And he said, you weren't supposed to. After about 6 weeks, my security clearance came through.
There we go. After about 6 weeks, my security clearance came through. Richard Dolan, you're a historian. Show me in anywhere in history in 1958 where someone would get a Q clearance in 6 weeks. You can't. Wouldn't happen. It was the height of the Cold War.
And I got my CIA card. It was an ID card, like a credit card, where I could just go up to the door and slice it.
Here's another excellent point. And you know what? We're just going to get back to me and the debunk documents, because did you notice that he said that he got his card, like the magnetic card that you slide? That's another thing that Dan Banker caught. That was supposed to happen in 1958. Folks, magnetic cards were not invented until almost 10 years later. There's no way on God's green earth that he could have got a magnetic card that you slide through a magnetic card reader for entry into a bill. Those weren't invented. Okay? And Dan Banker got the facts of where and when magnetic cards were invented. And it was not in 1958 when this gentleman claims to have gotten a card. There's another huge gaping hole that a history professor, you know what, David? You know what, Richard Dolan? I think you're not worthy to be a high school history teacher at this point. Because how did you, a history person, not think, let me check on when those cards were invented? Let me check, if that part of his story is true. Did you check on that? Can we see your research on what, did you call around to check on when magnetic cards were invented? Did you look it up? Because Dan Banker did. And they were invented 10 years later, Richard Dolan. This story is all fake. Everything this guy says can be picked apart brutally and with facts. And Richard Dolan did none of that. He did none of that, but was somehow involved in this story. I've said I believe that he was only involved. Here's Richard Dolan's job in this story. Sit there and ask these questions, and we're going to ride off of your credibility, and people are going to believe this is real because you're involved. That's what I believe happened. That's my opinion and speculation, and I'm entitled to it, Richard Dolan. Now, we're going to get to the debunk files, and there's a treasure trove of debunking this bullshittery, courtesy of Dan Banker. And listen, I mentioned I was going to do some of this work. Then I remembered from looking at the video comments that he had already done this. Right? So I kind of went, well, I'm just going to go after Dan and make sure that, the things that he's got here is correct. And I got to tell you, I wasn't able to find anything that didn't jive with reality at all. In fact, everything that I found in this debunk turned out to be factually correct. Everything that I checked, and I checked as much of it as I could. And, there was some delay about this because, it takes time to go through and try to figure this stuff out. I did my best to try to do that. We're going to try to find the debunk. Going to have to excuse me for a second here. I have all the screenshots somewhere here. Okay. Oh boy, we get to start right at the beginning, courtesy of Dan Banker. Okay. We're going to go through this quickly. I'm going to share the screen and just read it, and we can discuss afterwards. I apologize to the live chat for my lack of interaction tonight, but we got a lot to get through, and I think it's best if we plow through this stuff, and then I will devote my full attention to you. I promise. Okay. So here's the first part of the debunk, and again, Dan Banker took the time to timestamp all this. You know why? Because he wanted people to be able to listen along and read what he had to say about this story the whole way through. To his credit, it took a tremendous amount of time to do this. And you know what his reward was for that? Slimeball Jeremy Corbell changing the video to throw people off because Dan Banker got it so right. And you know what? Good for you, Dan Banker, for doing this. And you know what, Richard Dolan? You should go call him and apologize to him. You really should. You should call him and apologize to him. All right at the 10-second mark, we have, if he were dying, he would be in a hospital bed and not walking around a cheap hotel. Look at the video. This is not a hospital or hospital room. It's a hotel room with a typical TV, clock, radio, window, AC, and phone. You can see Dolan notes on the bed and his luggage and recording equipment. The man is using a walker, not a wheelchair. I'm not sure why using the walker, not the wheelchair, is important, but I agree with Dan Bankert here. He's supposed to be on his deathbed. He didn't look like he was dying to me. He looks like he was in a cheap hotel. Maybe that's where this was filmed. I don't know. But I think Richard Dolan should have to explain why was this in a hospital? The 15-second mark. This guy is dying of kidney problems. He wants us to believe him but he keeps using the words blood cleansing instead of dialysis. He has the most normal looking skin I've ever seen for a person dying of kidney problems. He would have had jaundice look to his skin. This is obviously not a deathbed confession, really. At 45, that's why I'm going along with the interview at this time. Yeah, because he says he's dying. Okay, at 55 seconds, again, Richard Dolan, you're supposed to be an historian, right? You studied the Cold War. Military career. This gentleman said, I was drafted into the military. And I went back to check that he actually said drafted. Yes, this gentleman you're interviewing says, I was drafted into the military, U.S. Army. Born 1936, he would have been 17 when the Korean War ended in 1953. Dan Banker, there's some history and factual evidence for you, Richard Dolan. You're supposed to be the historian. Why does Dan Bankert have to point this out to you? Congress passed the Universal Military Training and Service Act in 1951 to meet demands of the war. It lowered the induction age to 18 and a half and extended active duty service commitments to 24 months during the war. So it's impossible he was drafted, as he was too young for the Korean War and too old to be drafted during the Vietnam War. There you go, Richard Dolan. Why didn't you put those pieces together? Or did you know that this guy was a fraud? There's so much evidence that this guy was a fraud. Let's see. At 1 minute and 10 seconds, I was sent to the Signal Training Center instead of the Army Signal Corps. It's not called the Signal Training Center. It's called the Army Signal Corps. And anybody that was in the Army would call it the Army Signal Corps and not make up some term for it, okay? It's as if this gentleman was it's as if this gentleman was reading from a script that somebody that never served in the military wrote for him. Again, that's my opinion. That's my speculation. But it's a safe bet considering all the mistakes this man made using military terminology. Okay. 116. What year could this have been? Reply 1958. That means he was 22 years old at that point. That's at 116. 130. I went to the radio teletype course, also cryptography, crypto course. They pulled the top 5 students to be instructors. This is possible, but not unheard of. Yeah, and I agree. And by the way, Richard Dolan, there's military records. If he had attended a cryptography course, he would have a certificate. It would be in his DD-214 that he attended the radio teletype course, or whatever it's called, and also the cryptography course, and that he became an instructor would certainly be in his DD-214. Where's the DD-214, Richard Dolan? You said, we have verified he is who he says he is. You said that, Richard Dolan, about this fraud. You said that. You have the burden of proof to prove your statements that you made as if they were factual are real. Okay? Where's the DD-214? All this stuff would be on that, Richard Dolan. I guess you checked it. Can't wait for you to email it to me and make me eat my words. Okay, at the 2-minute mark, after one day my boss came to me, he would have used the term my sergeant or my commanding officer instead of boss. And that I certainly agree with. Okay, at 2:10, the boss said, how would you like to make some extra money? And there would be no extra money for an enlisted man doing work with any 3-letter agency back then. So there we are, friends. This is just the first one. This is just the first one. We got more for you, Richard Dolan. We got more for you. Richard Dolan. Come on. I cannot believe that you sat there and said this man is who he says he is. We have verified that. I don't think you did a very good job verifying he is who he says he is, Richard Dolan. In fact, I think that you did a terrible job. A terrible job. All right, friends, we're gonna try to plow through this, and I'm gonna go a little faster so that we can get through it all, because I want it all to be in this stream. Yeah, I want everybody to be able to see this. Come on. All right, just give me a moment, folks. We'll get this next one up on the screen. We'll plow through that. Okay, friends. Now we should be able to share this. try this again. All right. Why does that never show up? Okay, friends, there we go. 1250 went back to Area 51 and they took us to the main building. We saw a U-2, which we didn't know existed. A U-2 would have been in a hangar or on the flight line ramp, not in something you would describe as a main building. So far, the way he describes this is, if you listen carefully, is that it all took place in this point in less than a year. Okay, and on the U-2, President Dwight Eisenhower personally signed off on the U-2 acquisitions. Officials from the CIA, Air Force, or Lockheed, the contractor building the U-2, began moving into the facility in July 1955. The site was selected for the U-2 program in 1955 after aerial survey by the CIA and Air Force staff. Yeah, it wouldn't have been in the main building. At 13, and a model of the SR-71. The Lockheed A-12 was a reconnaissance aircraft built for the Central Intelligence Agency by Lockheed's famed Skunk Works, based on the designs of Clarence Kelly Johnson. The A-12 was produced from 1962 to 1964. This guy acts like this all started in 1958 and happened very quickly. He got his Q clearance in 6 weeks, and he was at the top secret base. The A-12, he said that there was a model of the SR-71 there, that also known as the A-12, the predecessor. Was the predecessor to the SR-71 was not even produced, right? Until 1962 to 1964. The SR-70, listen, so he's speaking of 1958 or 1959, and the prototype of the A-12 wasn't even built before the 1960s. Richard Dolan, you're the historian. You missed us again selling this fake story. Here's another indicator this man is not telling us the truth. Okay, 1340, flew back on President Eisenhower's Lockheed Electra. Listen, Dan Bankert knows a lot about aviation history, so I trust his judgment on this stuff. Okay? Yeah, the Lockheed L-88 Electra is an American airliner built by Lockheed. First flown in 1957, it was the first large turboprop airliner built in the United States. Initial sales were good, but after a few fatal crashes and led to extensive modifications to fix a design defect, no more were ordered. Dan Bankert can find no reference to President Eisenhower ever being on a Lockheed Electra. I checked with the Eisenhower Library, Dan, and I was unable to find any record of him ever flying on a Lockheed Electra myself. I couldn't find any evidence of that. President Dwight D. Eisenhower selected the Lockheed Constellation L-049 as his Air Force One and named it Columbine after his wife's state flower from Colorado. President Eisenhower's plane that he flew in was a Lockheed Constellation, Richard Dolan, not a Lockheed Electra. Details matter. You're the historian. You missed this as well. 14 minutes, meeting Eisenhower, the old CSS warehouse building. President Hoover was there. Hoover would have been almost 80 in 1958. Come on, really? An 80-year-old Herbert Hoover attended this meeting? You didn't find that suspect, Richard Dolan? Linda Moulton Hale's phone call. Her phone was tapped. They got my phone number through the phone company. Really? Well, you mean the NSA couldn't find him with all their spyware, Homeland Security? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, 1550. When they found you, what happened? Response from old guy. 2 guys in black suits in a Lincoln Town Car came after him, right? The men in black. 2 guys in black suits in a Lincoln Town Car came after him. Well, there's a problem with that because at the time that he said this has happened, 2 men could not have been used from the government using a Lincoln Town Car because the Lincoln Town Car was stopped in 2010 and 2011 was the last released model. By this time, the government had long converted to bulletproof large black SUVs. So here he is lying that the men in black were in a black suits and a Lincoln Town Car. Government workers were not using Lincoln Town Cars at that time. They were using black SUVs all across the government. Did you miss that as well, Richard Dolan? And friends, it goes on and on here. This CIA deathbed confession is riddled with problems that even an amateur could pick apart and destroy. But it didn't stop Richard Dolan from selling this story. No, friends, didn't stop him. He's the historian. You should just trust him that what he's telling you, especially when he says, hey, man, I checked this guy and he is who he says he is, then why is he making all these amateur mistakes? It does not make any sense. And friends, yeah, we're going to get to the live chat. So, hold your criticism. Somebody just said I haven't shown any proof. I just proved 10 times that this guy lied 10 times in the deathbed confession. And Richard Dolan never proved any of that. He never proved it was factual, but I just proved it wasn't. So don't tell me I don't have proof. We've got the proof right here, and we're showing it. Let me see Richard Dolan's proof that this is real. He won't show his proof that this is real. Tell me I don't have any proof. All we're doing here is showing proof and evidence. It's not speculation. Details matter. This deathbed CIA guy said that 2 men in black came and visited him in a Lincoln Town Car at a time when nobody that worked for the government would be driving a Lincoln Town Car. All right, friends. We're going to pull up the next one here, and we're going to try to keep rolling on, because that's what we're going to do here. We're going to try to keep rolling on. All right, we did that one. I think there's only a few more to go through. And we might have missed one, but that's okay. No, you know what? I think we might have got them all. We might have got them all. I didn't share a couple of them that he just sent me that are like him posting on a forum asking for help by anybody that can verify this person's real name, identity, or bona fides, whether anybody can prove this man was actually in the military, whether anybody can prove that this man actually, was able to verify that this man really worked for the military. Nobody sent Mr. Benkert any proof, and I have done similar searches and requests. And here's another thing I would like to say, and then we are going to turn our attention to the live chat, because here's the deal. Sorry, I looked for a place for these notes here. Here's the deal. Oh, I don't want to get them mixed up with those notes from last night. So, and wait, you know what? I'm not done with my notes. So actually, we're going to keep the notes. All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to turn my attention to the live chat in just a little bit. So, to wrap up here, the burden of proof is not on me. It's not up to me to prove that this guy was lying, but we can in all these different ways. The details matter. Richard Dolan is supposed to be an historian, okay? He knows that these details are off. He knows that each of these points that Dan Benkert made are factual. And here's more that people don't know yet. Listen, Dan Benkert was also best friends with Edgar Fouché, right? He was best friends with Edgar Fouché, and Edgar Fouché was known mostly for, first of all, working in top secret projects, but he was the CIA I'm sorry. Let me collect my words, because now, of course, I lost the one sheet that I needed here. Oh, we have that one. Oh, here we go. I found it. I apologize. Okay, so Edgar Fouché was best known for being a TR-3B whistleblower. If you ever heard the stories about the TR-3B UFO and the top secret project to develop it at Area 51, that came from a real whistleblower, Edgar Fouché, who happened to be best friends with Dan Benkert, who is the source we're using for this debunk of this CIA deathbed confession that's fake. Edgar Fouché and Dan Benkert, okay, talked about this case, okay? And Edgar Fouché, for those that don't know, he spent 20 years, okay? He was 20 years in the U.S. Air Force. And I think I have his rank, okay. So he spent 20 years in the United States Air Force, and all of Edgar Fouché's FOIA and DD-214 are out there and can be verified. Everything Edgar Fouché claimed, like being in the U.S. Air Force for 20 years and retiring as a master sergeant tech, an E8, and by the way, that's a very high rank for an enlisted man, all that can be verified. And Edgar Fouché had a problem with this deathbed confession, as well as Dan Benkert. They're friends. They're going to talk about it. But not only did they talk about it amongst themselves, they talked about it with Richard Dolan. They Skyped Richard Dolan, these two, about this CIA deathbed confession. Showed Richard Dolan all the proof that this guy was a fraud. Edgar Fouché believed that he was a fraud, and he was a real whistleblower who really was in the military, who really did work on black projects, and that can be verified, okay? Can I verify that he really had knowledge of this TR-3B or that's real? No, but I can verify that he's a real military man. He really was in the Air Force, and you can check and you can verify that that statement that he was in the military is real, okay? That's a better source than your fake fraud, fake CIA old guy in this video, Richard Dolan. That's a credible source because you can verify his background. Now, let's get to verifying this gentleman's background and some other important points, because this is important. First of all, you, Richard Dolan, and you, Jeremy Corbell, and you also, Linda Moulton Hale, never gave us this gentleman's real name, right? He's Cooper, right? He's anonymous. You never gave us his real name. You three are saying that he was a CIA agent. You three are saying that he was in the military. You're saying that as if it's a factual statement. You have to prove that as a factual statement if people ask, or you can't keep selling this fake story. But they will. Here's the deal, friends. Richard Dolan, do you play chess? Because I play chess. Let's consider tonight our chess game, shall we? And Richard Dolan, I got to tell you, depending on my opponent, I can be a very careful chess player or a very aggressive one. Tonight, I'm going to be careful. And we will consider tonight, and the information I presented tonight, simply the opening gambit. I've got a lot more pieces, Richard Dolan, but I'm not going to use them all in one in one game. Tonight, I'm content to simply put you in check. You're now in check, Richard Dolan, and it's going to be time for you to move soon. And you're going to have to decide whether you're going to have the come to Jesus moment to admit that this guy was a fraud and a fake and a liar and a phony, and that you somehow got suckered into getting involved with this fairy tale, or you're going to double down and you're going to refuse to admit that all these facts that we're presenting here are real. You're going to deny reality. Those are your choices. You can either deny the reality or you can accept it and try to move on. Maybe you made a mistake getting involved in this. And by the way, I mentioned Edgar Fouché and Dan Benkert having a Skype session with Richard Dolan discussing this. And Richard Dolan, you just threw Jeremy Corbell under the bus, right? In that Skype session, you said, wait, let me, I don't want to wait, you said that Jeremy Corbell, you knew that the story might not be credible, but Jeremy Corbell, against your wishes, got greedy and started distributing that video anyway. Then Jeremy Corbell got even greedier and decided to make an entire documentary about that gentleman, whose military background can't be verified, whose employment with the CIA cannot be verified, even though you're calling him a former CIA agent. There's problems. This story is completely and totally riddled with problems, Richard Dolan. And you were involved. Richard Dolan, it's your responsibility to come forward and address these issues, to respond to these issues, because this is valid points. These are all valid points. But I mentioned that I have more chess pieces that I'm not going to use. Well, I'm going to use a few more. Here's another point. Richard Dolan, do you think that nobody got to that gentleman's real name? You've never released his real name. Linda Moulton Hale won't release his real name, right? Jeremy Corbell won't release his real name. Why is that? Why won't he release his real name so that anybody can go and verify his claims and his credentials and his military service and his employment with the CIA? You won't give us his real name. But it would be very naive, even stupid, for you three to believe that no one else got to the truth and got his real name. Okay? Some people have gotten to the truth and gotten to his real name. I'm one of those people. Dan Bankert's one of those people. There's a few others. Can I ask you a question, Richard Dolan? Have you ever read the obituary of a man who spent time in the military? I have. And any man who spent time in any military service, when you read his obituary, his military service will be mentioned in the obituary. Richard Dolan, was this man's military service mentioned in his obituary? And if so, why not? Did you see his DD-214, his military records, his certificates from attending those courses? You said, Richard Dolan, we have verified that this man is who he says he is. You said that in the beginning of this video. We have verified that this man is who he says he is. Did you do that, Richard Dolan? Did you verify it? Can we see your research on this gentleman? Can we see your records? Can we see his signals training course certificate? Can we see his D-214 proving that he was an instructor? Can we see his CIA credentials? No, you're not going to show us that, Richard Dolan. You know why? Because they don't exist, Richard Dolan. And some people have done the work. Some people have done the work and know that gentleman never worked for the military. No, that gentleman wasn't employed by the CIA. Or let's just say I'm a terrible researcher, right, Richard Dolan? I didn't say that he is who he says he is. You said that. I looked. I went to the ends of the earth trying to find proof or no proof that this guy was actually in the military. I can't find any proof that he was actually in the military as he claimed. I can't find any proof that he was actually in the CIA as he claimed. But it was you, sir, who said, I'm a little unclear, going to check that, have verified that this man is who he says he is. You said that. So can we see the research? Can we see the proof? Because I can't find it. Other researchers can't find it. Why is that, Richard Dolan? You know, and Dan Bankert to his credit, is a serious researcher, and he doesn't try to take credit. He doesn't want credit. He doesn't even want spotlight. He could have come on tonight and gloated and reveled in the great job that he did proving that this was a fake. Instead, he just handed it to me and he said, all this is good. If you want to check it, go ahead. And yeah, I did my best to check it. It's ridiculous that this is where we're at. And, we've got the Roswell slides. We've got the Bob Lazar story. Come on, man. You're involved in the Bob Lazar story, right? Bob Lazar. Hey, Richard Dolan, I have something to ask you, okay? You promoted that story. You helped Jeremy Corbell promote and sell his documentary as real, right? And you said, I tend to believe Bob Lazar. Again, here you are lending your perceived credibility to another person with much less credibility than you in the form of Jeremy Corbell, helping promote something that is arguably easily proven fake. Maybe you're not aware, maybe you haven't kept up, but at the end of that documentary, Jeremy Corbell and Bob Lazar claimed that the FBI raided his business and they were looking for that element 115, that flying saucer fuel. That's a lie, Richard Dolan. I talked to the police chief who was in on those FBI raids. The FBI raids had absolutely nothing to do with Bob Lazar's fake fraud flying saucer stories. They were there to serve a search warrant looking for thorium that Bob Lazar sells at his business because a customer of Bob Lazar's bought some of that element, that rare element, and killed his wife with it. It was a murder investigation. It had nothing to do with Bob Lazar and his stupid flying saucer stories. And you, too, Richard Dolan, would have known that if you would have taken the time to actually talk to the police chief. And you, too, could have found out that that film is riddled with lies, half-truths, fabrications, and just straight-up bullshittery. But that didn't stop you from helping your buddy, the same buddy you worked on this bullshit project with, from promoting it, from attempting to profit from it, right? And I believe that was a monetized video on your channel of you promoting the Bob Lazar documentary with your buddy Jeremy Corbell. You made money promoting a fake story, another fake story. Now, people can argue with me, Bob Lazar is not a fake story. I believe it's a fake story. Many people believe it's a fake story. There's ample and supportive evidence to prove it's a fake story. But let's get into, for just a quick second, you like to attack other people. You stood up at a UFO conference and said, the problem with a lot of these speakers tonight is something called falsifiability. I can neither prove or disprove the story. Wouldn't that apply to you too? Falsifiability, your own riff. Your riff that if I can neither prove or disprove a story, it has no value. Can you prove or disprove Bob Lazar's story? Can you prove or disprove Admiral Wilson's story? Can you prove or disprove the Roswell slides? Well, yeah, you could prove that's fake. The Admiral Wilson, we could prove that's fake. So all you've got left is this CIA deathbed confession guy. Can you prove or disprove? Is this story past the test of falsifiability? And if not, you're a hypocrite for promoting it, for supporting it, for taking part in it. You can't attack other people for selling stories that can't be verified if you're doing the same thing, Richard Dolan. You can't do that. Now, Admiral Wilson UFO leaks you got a hold of, right? And you called it the UFO leak of the century. This is a proven fake. Admiral Wilson calls them a work of fiction, right? That's what Admiral Wilson, the leak source in this said that they are fake. He has no financial motive. He has no horse in this race. But you and Eric Davis and others do have a financial motive to keep this fake story rolling. So that's what you're doing, I guess. Admiral Wilson has no financial motive to tell the truth about this so-called, you called it the UFO story of the century. Then Admiral Wilson came out and said, this is entirely made up fiction. I don't know anything about this. And you can go to your UFO go-to bullshittery when you get caught selling a fake story. There's two plays, either the Men in Black, right, or government cover-up, or they're kind of, no, it's kind of the same play, right? Is that the play you're going to go with for the Admiral Wilson documents, that the Men in Black got to Admiral Wilson and tried to shut him up so people couldn't get to the truth about aliens, bro? That's where we're at with Richard Dolan. This is crazy. You and you're, listen, I said it before, there's a fine line between clickbait and fraud. You guys titled this video CIA Deathbed Confession of Former CIA Agent. Where's the proof he was a CIA agent? Or give the money back. You got to give the money back if it's proven that even the title is fake. You got to give the money back. And you know, with that, friends, we're going to sort of just turn our attention to the live chat. I will now turn my total attention to the live chat, and I apologize for going so long, but we had an awful lot of ground to cover tonight, folks, and a lot of things to unpack. I hate to go that far without the live chat and interaction. Thank you guys for indulging me and giving me the opportunity to do this. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, this has been on my list of things to do. Somebody's got to do this. This has been on my list of things to do. It's one of those, you know, like this is a task that you dread. You don't want to do it. I took no pleasure in this tonight, but somebody's got to put Richard Dolan in check before things get worse for him. He doesn't realize it. His so-called friends are not his friends, because if they were, they would go to him and they would say, your credibility is really at risk here with all this bullshittery that you've been pushing lately. You did this one, you did this one. Come on, man. Like, how many times can Richard Dolan throw the dice and sell a fake story before his career is over? You heard him in that clip. My career is over when I say it is. Okay. You may find that that's not the case, Richard Dolan, if you keep getting caught with your pants down. And tonight we caught you with your pants and probably your underwear down too. This is not a good look for you, Richard Dolan. And I'm sorry to have to do this. I really am. I grew up loving and respecting your work, your books, looking up to you, watching you on TV, being interested in this stuff. Somebody's got to do this. And again, it's an open invitation. If you want to come on the show and defend yourself for what we're talking about tonight, I'd be more than happy to have you. And let's check my email just in case Richard Dolan chimed in. And no, friends, no. We have not seen any Richard Dolan. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure everybody's waiting for this too. One more little piece of business, and then I promise we're going right to the live chat. Last night, there was a great deal of drama in the live chat. And I'm still trying to piece together exactly what happens. Near as I can tell, this is what happened. Somebody was making some really nasty comments in the live chat, things that I neither condone nor support nor will tolerate in the live chat. Up until now, we have had absolutely no rules in the live chat. And we've had this, everybody gets a wrench. Turns out that's a bad idea. We can't make everybody moderators because I need to have trusted people there doing the moderation that are going to look out for the show's best interest. And for example, if somebody posts a racist comment in the chat, they will hide or delete that because we do not support or condone any kind of racist comments or anything like that. So last night, somebody was making comments that may have been racist, may have been transphobic, homophobic comments. There was some comment disparaging people with mental issues. There was comment disparaging people that may have Down syndrome. Somebody made a comment. And by the way, I'm apologizing right now because last night somebody made some comment like somebody's missing a chromosome. And I put it up on the screen. I didn't understand the context or what was going on. And it just seemed funny to me. And I laughed. That was wrong of me. First of all, everybody knows that I wouldn't condone somebody using disparaging comments towards people with Down syndrome. My son has autism. We're not going to tolerate stuff like that here. I apologize for my reaction. It was a nervous laugh. I didn't mean that was funny. I don't agree that was funny. And I'm truly sorry. Won't happen again. I'm going to pay a little closer attention before I pull comments up on the screen. It's not going to happen again. So going forward, listen, we're going to have some rules for the chat. And the number one rule, and really the only rule we need to have is this. That's rule number one. We cannot have disparaging comments about anyone's race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, or gender status. Okay, but we can unpack that a little bit. I put number two, no racially insensitive comments, racial slurs, racist jokes, or racist remarks. We're all inclusive here. All races are welcome. We're not going to tolerate somebody, doing that. Number three, there can be no disparaging comments about anyone who is transgender, no transphobic jokes, remarks, or negative comments towards transgender individuals, please. Okay. Number four, no disparaging comments about anyone's sexual orientation or jokes about or rude comments about someone's sexual orientation, etc. Number five, and this goes to the drama that happened last night. So what happened is, I'm going to call them the good witch and the bad witch, okay? The good witch in our live chat saw some of these comments and said, I know Steve, he would not support somebody making these comments in our live chat because it could, new people coming in would, if we allow this, would know, like, okay, they're just okay for people making these nasty comments. I don't want to come here or whatever. The good witch had the show's best interest and started deleting those comments. And then the bad witch, another mod, decided to boot her, I believe, for deleting comments. I don't know why they would want those comments to stay, but that is not acceptable. So the last rule is no mod can boot another mod from the chat. If there is a conflict between the moderators, the new policy is that they will email me if there is a mod dispute at truthseekershow@gmail.com. If there's a mod dispute, I'm going to be monitoring my email. If there's a mod, if two mods are disputing or don't know what they should do in the live chat, I think we've covered the rules here, so everybody should know. But if there's a dispute, no mod can boot another mod. That's unacceptable. You can't do that. So if there's a dispute between two or more moderators, just email me. Somebody email me what's going on in case I'm off doing a presentation and not paying attention to the live chat. I'll check in with the email every once in a while, and I'll play a break bumper and I'll resolve those issues. But please, mods, do not boot another moderator. And with that, finally, friends, we turn our full attention to the live chat. Super V Fun Cat says rule number 11: no blocking Super V Fun Cat by mods. Yes, and it was Super V Fun Cat was the good witch, and I thank her for trying to do the right thing, and I'm sorry that she got treated like that. She actually got booted from the live chat. She had to come back in an alternate account, and it was really bad. And I felt horrible because I didn't even know any of this was going on until after the show. Somebody emailed me like, "Hey, did you know that these comments are being allowed to continue, and Super V tried to stop them, and she got booted for, listen, we are all inclusive here. Everyone is welcome, all races, creeds, religions, ethnicities, sexual orientations, all genders, trans people. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what gender you identify as, but we should be respectful and address you however you prefer to be addressed. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about any of those things. I mean, I care, but I mean, like, geez, boy, I'm putting my foot in my mouth. I don't want anyone to not feel included here. I don't want anybody to be minimized, ridiculed, or feel unwelcome here. And for those reasons, we just can't have these things in our live chat. So please understand me, friends, and we'll see. Okay, Jasmine Emmerich, the timestamp debunk material, is it publicly available? If so, where can I find it? Yes, Jasmine Emmerich, I will send you a link, and I will also post those debunk timestamps to my Twitter as soon as the broadcast ends. I will be happy to. And BG's, oh, V, you got booted. Yeah, somebody booted her from the live chat, and I feel terrible because Super V Funkcat has been a long-time listener and supporter, and if any mod has my support to make decisions about what should be allowed in the live chat or not allowed, especially because when these things happen, it's because I'm not paying attention to the live chat. So I really, really rely on you guys that are moderators to help me out there. And I felt terrible because I trust her judgment 100%, and I would stand behind whatever decision she makes to delete a comment. I'm sure she's doing it in the show's best interest. Six's design, does she still have the boot print on her butt? No, and you know what? I think that Super V Funkcat reminds me of my wife. Like, she's very passionate and she could be real fiery, but then she calms down and gets over it. So we talked yesterday. I hope, Super V, I hope we're okay, because I want you to keep coming here. Yes, and you can please follow me on Twitter. And friends, how you can best support me, there's 3 ways to best support me. There's a donate by PayPal button on the main channel. If you are feeling generous and you want to continue to see this kind of content, and somebody that does not have a financial motive to lie to people, how about we give somebody a financial motive to tell people the truth and stand up and do the things and say the things that need to be done in our community, instead of let's all just have these blinders on while these elephants are in our room. Somebody's got to do it. I've made my peace. For a long time I go, I'm tired of this. Why do I got to be the guy? I was talking to one of my friends who's on the way woo side of all this stuff, and he gave me some great advice. And he said, everybody deserves a place at the table. Everybody should be allowed to be a part of the discussion, and that you have your place. And it's not a bad place, but it's the place that the world has chosen for you, or maybe destiny. You're supposed to do. If you feel drawn and you feel like you have to stand up and say these things, yeah, then that's your place. That's my place, friends. Yeah. And here on the About page, friends, Jonaside, work early, so my bedtime is now. Night, everyone. Much love. Yeah. Yeah, there are 2 videos, right? Yeah, and I'll send you the links to the videos as well. Dan Bankert, make sure you post the proper video of Corbell Dolan that matches the time signature so people can see it with the video. Yes, Dan Bankert, I will certainly do that. You and I talked about why I used an alternate source for the video tonight. It is what it is. I did that because we kind of had to. So I'll provide the original video link that Dan Bankert has the timestamp. And I believe, Dan, Dan Bankert is in the live chat. Shout out to Dan Bankert, and thank you for letting me use your research material. And listen, I believe, Dan, didn't you go back after he changed the video all around to throw off the timestamp and then fix it so that it would match again? That's a pretty slimy move. What? I missed all the drama. I was still on vacation. Hey, Kel Truth. Oh, you got a new avatar too. See that? Men do notice sometimes. Nice to see you here, and I hope you're camping. Keltruth was telling me about her camping adventure. I think she's on the coast of California camping, which, Keltruth, I would like to be there. And yes, you missed all the drama. I'm going to have to buy you a present, I don't know, like a watch maybe, Keltruth? I love that joke. I use it all the time. Dan Banker, yes. So Dan Banker went back after they listen, friends. This is opinion and speculation, but I believe it's factually. I'm telling you, this is my gut feeling. Right after, it was like the next day, Dan Bankert, I believe, right? Dan Bankert posts this beautiful debunk of time-stamped, where every time this guy says something, Dan Bankert can bring up a point that proves that the guy's making false statements. The next day, Jeremy Corbell pulls the video, changes it around, cuts some of it so that the timestamps don't match up at all anymore. And then you can't follow along. To his credit, Dan Bankert went back and fixed it. And now it matches up. So this CIA deathbed confession is just one, right, of the parts of the chess game, Richard Dolan. Like I said, sometimes I could be a very aggressive chess player. Sometimes I could be a little more reserved. Tonight I chose to be reserved. I'm not going to use all my pieces. Not using my queen or king. No. Tonight I used a few pawns. But we got more for you, Mr. Dolan. Lots of more for you. That's Corbell for you. Yeah. This guy doesn't care about the truth. He cares about what he's going to be selling next. Yes, thank you, Dan Bankert, for the detail work. Much appreciated. Yeah, I can't take credit for most of this. What I can tell you is that I independently try to verify that everything in his debunk is factually correct. And near as I can tell, I think he got everything right in there, especially when it's related to something of historical significance that you can verify. I went through it, and it is what it is, It's the truth. Dan Bankert's YouTube channel. Yeah, please support him. Absolutely. And yeah, out of mind. Oh, I mentioned there's 3 ways you can support me: like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. If you are new here, we welcome you, and we need more subscribers, more friends, more fellow truth seekers to come and join us. Please do subscribe. And the YouTube algorithm, we are all slaves to it. If we're content creators, there's a reason that everybody says this: like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up the video. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell. You liking, commenting, or subscribing on the video is engagement, and it will raise it in the search engines. We'll get more views, and we will grow. Yes. So yeah, just to be clear, the debunk that I was reading, that point-by-point tear down of Richard Dolan's fantasy story about a CIA agent's deathbed confession was mostly, it's all Dan Bankert, and I remembered it from back then, and we have talked about this previously. I was going to do something about this on the Midnight Hour show. Like I said, Steve, can you give online Skype chess lessons? Well, Rick, I could. I don't know that I have time to, and honestly, I would not be. I just got back into playing chess at the cabin, and only because my neighbor at the cabin is a really good chess player. And boy, it's kind of tough to go play this guy at my cabin because I lose. I think he's like 4-0 right now. He beats me every time, but he's a great chess player, and I'm learning more from losing from him than I would winning from like a better player. I'm not a great player. You should find somebody that's a great player or a great teacher. Chess is fun. Thank you for confirming, Dan. Okay. Dan Banker, I do nothing for money. I have nothing monetized and no Patreon. Everything I do is out of passion. Yeah, Dan is not making any money. So again, he doesn't have a financial motive to sell you lies. The other side, we can't say the same for them. They're selling monetized videos. They're selling, Richard Dolan selling his members only, you got to pay $10 and he puts stuff behind paywall. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't have a problem with anybody making a living. I have a problem with people claiming that this is factually correct. This is a true story. And then you pick it apart and you find out it's a total fabrication. This guy's not a real CIA agent. This guy wasn't in the military. It blows the whole story to shit. Doesn't stop them from leaving that video up. and trying to get, those YouTube pennies, right? And apparently Jeremy Corbell is making an entire documentary about this guy. And now he's dead, which is dangerous because this gentleman being dead, anybody can make up anything and say, well, this ex-CIA agent told me this, right? It's a dangerous road to allow somebody to use a dead source. Super V Fun Cat. I appreciate those who aren't afraid to be critical of the untouchables like Dolan. Yeah, I thank you for your kindness and support for me doing this. I didn't want to do this today. And, I'm a little bit nervous sometimes before a show, but boy, I was like, I can't believe I got to go do this. And I don't really want to do this, but somebody's got to say these things. And again, if it's got to be me, it's got to be me. I mean, Dan said it first better than me, but maybe my role in this thing is to just help spread it. Right? To promote a truth instead of being one of those guys running out there streaming lies and fairy tales. Maybe that's another part of my place at the table. When I find great researchers that will let me use their stuff, as long as they listen, me and Dan have a pretty good relationship. There's going to come a day, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's going to come a day when I'll just take something from Dan and just run. I won't check anything that he gives me because over years, friends, we've become friends, and he will send me something, and I'm ask him. I'm cynical. I'm always like, look, Dan, boy, this sounds great, but I got to check this out before, and Dan's kind of like, just run with it. It's right, man. Trust me, it's right. And I'm kind of like, I got to make sure. And I'm getting to the point with Dan that I'll trust him enough to just go, it came from him. I'm not going to waste the time. I feel like I wasted like a couple of days checking each one of his things. And it was right. Everything was right. Yes, he doesn't care about the truth, but what sells. Yeah, and it's clickbait. And it not only is it clickbait, I believe it's fraud. I believe it's fraud and could be criminally prosecutable. You're putting a video out there, and it's monetized, and you're telling people this is the deathbed confession of a CIA agent about UFOs and aliens. If it can be proven, Mr. Corbell and Mr. Dolan, that guy was in no way, shape, or form a former military service member or a former CIA agent, and you put that in the title and took the money, it is what it is. I'm no lawyer. I'm not law enforcement, but I think that you might want to take some time and really think about the possible implications that doing things like that going forward may have for you, especially if somebody in a prosecutorial role in the government can prove that you have a proven track record of doing things like this. How do you think that's going to look? It looks terrible because it is. So in Marshall, just seeing what's going on. Dark Ravens, who is my nephew. Hey, nephew. You should come and visit this weekend at the cabin. My nephew actually lives right near my cabin. Sharon's sister Rosie and Matt are coming up. So I think maybe Greg and Jeanette and Mom will be there with us. My mother-in-law, Mom, will be there. You should come and visit too. Oh, Anonymous. Yeah, Solar Marshall, yeah. And, Dark Ravens, I forgot to read his comment. He said, watch, Corbell will change the video again. Yeah, he probably will change it again now that there's some more eyes on it. And, I'm glad that I would have some part in putting some more eyes on that video and especially on Dan Beckert's excellent debunk, because it's ridiculous that this stuff is allowed to happen. William Pixley, no one is untouchable. That said, this is a difficult field of work. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got to. The problem with Richard Dolan is that he's got to constantly find new stuff about UFOs and aliens to talk about and keep his audience interested, or they're going to go. The original video is no longer on Dolan's site page, correct? So it was Corbell promoting it, not Dolan. You may be correct, Superview Fun Cat. I didn't go looking for it on Richard Dolan's website, but I do know that in this case, I believe, just like in the Roswell slide case and every other time that he's been caught, he kind of tried to slither away and distance himself from it. And he may have said So I believe that I may have heard him give sort of a half-ass explanation and say like, well, I wasn't entirely convinced going into it, and but we'd like to get a statement from Richard Dolan. What's going on with this? Why are you still allowing Jeremy Corbell to use your likeness and your image and your credibility to sell a fake story? You have the legal right to force him to take that video down. That's your image. That's you in the video. If you want that video taken down, Richard Dolan, you're a smart man. There are legal means to force him if he won't. I don't know what the story is. Did you ask him to take the video down? Do you not support that anymore? Do you not support Corbell leaving that video up with you in it, being the interviewer? Lending credibility to a hoax? Okay, apparently through my own research, YouTube's algorithm is dependent on what other videos you have as well, not just the video itself. Excellent point, Six's Design. And now you just gave everybody homework. Because besides commenting, and subscribing, and liking and commenting and thumbs upping today's video, all of you friends got to go back to every other video on my channel and comment, and thumbs up, because that will help the algorithm. And we're just slaves to that algorithm here, trying to do what we do and what we can to grow the show and increase our viewership and find more fellow truth seekers that actually want the truth. And it's very important for me to say, we want to get to the truth of these things. I got in a lot of hot water on my previous show, the show that I created before this one, because I was very skeptical. And I think it was Joe Roop. Yeah, it was, from the Fringe FM. To his credit, he made me feel a lot better, because he said, you're skeptical, but you want to believe these things. You're not a skeptic. You're a truth seeker. You're willing to accept real stories, but you're not willing to accept the fake ones. Yeah, Dan Bankert says the timestamp debunk. It's actually the one. It's the one on Corbell's page, and it's on his YouTube channel too. All you have to do is search on YouTube to find the original video that Dan Bankert uses and timestamps. Just search for Deathbed CIA Confession Jeremy Corbell on YouTube, and you will find it. If somebody wants to do that and post the video link in the live chat, I am fine with that. And out of mind. Just switching one video in your list affects all other videos in the algorithm. I tested this earlier. You know what, Six Design? You got to get with me off air, and we got to figure this out. Sounds like you got the goods, and I want to know how I can best serve the AI masters, right? Corbell had millions of views, and the fact that Corbell bought this story shows he had no idea what he's talking about. No, just like the Bob Lazar story, he has no idea what he's talking about. Okay. Listen, Sixes, you got to get with me off air. When Tracy came along, he became more handsome and dapper, also a notable increase in confidence. Yeah, one of these things is not like the other. We're not going to go there, but yeah. Oh, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me, Rick von Himmlich Spluner. Here's the deal. Richard Dolan, you have a wife who claims to be a remote viewer, right? So according to your wife and remote viewers, time and space it doesn't matter. You can remote view anytime, any space, right? So your wife's a remote viewer. She can remote view anytime in space. Why didn't she go back in time to 1958 to Area 51 to see if this guy was there? And then come back and say, honey, don't run with that story. That guy's a bullshit artist. Or why didn't your remote viewing wife go check out S4 at Papoose Lake, right? Oh, that's another thing. Richard Dolan. Did you miss it? There's been people flying over Papoose Lake, right? That's where Bob Lazar said the S4 was, that top secret base where he worked on flying saucers, even though it's a nuclear wasteland. Okay, why doesn't your remote viewing wife fly over Area 51, go to Papoose Lake, and come back and tell you if Bob Lazar is telling the truth about S4, right? She should be able to do that. But failing her, they're allowing flights over Papoose Lake now. And Dan Bankert's got the goods on that too. And guess what? There is nothing there on Papoose Lake. There's no roads. There's no guard shack. There's no hangars. There is no support buildings. If there was a big military base there, Richard Dolan, there would have to be some support buildings, right? Some garages to service the vehicles and so forth, cafeterias and living quarters. There's nothing there. It's rocks and dirt, Richard Dolan, and you're supporting the Bob Lazar story. There's new evidence coming out all the time that Bob Lazar was a fraud. More evidence every day. But you still back that horse, right? Because that was your buddy selling that bullshit. Why doesn't your remote viewing wife help you? And, then you will not look like an asshole so much. Because she can remote view anytime in space, right? So she should be able to go to S4 and then come back and say, honey, don't promote Bob Lazar's story on your show because there's nothing at S4. He lied about it all. But that's not what we get from your remote viewing wife. She sits next to you. She looks pretty. And I don't know why she's not using her superpowers to help you, right? Yes, the main cranky link in this is mostly Corbell if you deconstruct it. I believe that Corbell manufactured a lot of this. I really do. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with illusions, and this to me looks like a carefully constructed illusion that somebody wanted stupid people to believe was true so we can get a lot of clicks and views. And congratulations to you, Corbell. You got a lot of clicks and views, but you don't get credit for getting a lot of views with lies. I'll take my 500 or 1,000 views telling the truth over your, whatever you got on that, telling a fairy tale. There's integrity in what I do. I can make up some fake clickbait bullshit and start getting lots of views too. There's no value in that. Corbell did promote it on his own channel, Extraordinary Beliefs. Of course he did. Yeah, Fravor, exactly. Yeah, everything that comes. Yeah, and he never found a story that he didn't like. All right, friends, I'm way behind in the live chat. So, Wrench Dan. Yeah, let me get over there and see if I can't wrench Dan. Got to be careful with these wrenches now, friends. We got to be real careful because last night was like a shit show of like drama and nonsense that we should just not have it here. I gotta find Dan Bankert here. 1 second, we gotta wrench him for sure. Dan Bankert, you are now a moderator. Please do use your moderator powers wisely. All right, now let me get back to StreamYard, and we're just going to take questions and comments from the audience for some time, and then we're going to wrap things up here. Sixth Design, I wonder how people want fairy tales in preference over real. I think that people need good stories. I think people need great stories. It's a fundamental human need. Since there was a fire to sit around and hear them, people have needed great stories. But I don't find any value in fairy tales. Just me. Maybe when I was a little kid, I found value in fairy tales. You can learn from them. And from these fairy tales that these people are selling, we can learn to be more discerning, to be a little more skeptical, and not so quick to trust somebody just because we used to. Just because I used to trust Richard Dolan doesn't mean that I should continue to just trust him on anything that he says. I should have the discernment and the research behind it to look into it and determine if he's worthy of being trusted. I shouldn't just blindly trust or follow anybody telling these stories. Okay, now I've mind posted it in the live chat. Here is the video from Corbell's channel. And if Dan Bankert agrees and doesn't mind, I'll be sharing the timestamp debunk. I will be sharing on my Twitter, and anybody can have yourself a laugh factory of fun going through this CIA deathbed confession and seeing what fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery Corbell, Linda Moulton Hale, because she's the originator of the story. And by the way, Linda Moulton Hale sold this guy's fake bullshit fairy tales for years and years and years before handing off this deathbed confession project, I suppose, to her buddies, Jeremy Corbell, and especially Richard Dolan and her are buddies. I mean, they share an employee in common. They may no longer, but they did at one point. More entertainment, I guess, and partly understanding how they pull off their scams. Yeah, I'm a friend of that. Picks. Dolan's work contributions to this murky field is immeasurable. Has he gotten it all right? No one does. The pot shotting giving his general excellent work is a tough arena. Well, balance, man. Cheers all. Yeah, I mean, sure. He's done some good things. I liked some of his earlier books. Yeah, not to take any credit from the good work that he has done, but he certainly muddies the water of his own credibility when he's involved with things like the Roswell slides, when he's involved with things like the Bob Lazar story, when he's involved with things like the Admiral Wilson documents, when he's involved with this CIA agent, fake CIA agent. I'm sorry, but it impedes his credibility about everything else. Then it calls into question everything he's ever said. When you catch him 5 times selling fairy tales or helping to sell fairy tales, eventually you have to call into question everything that he's selling, including his coffee mugs, his members only access, whatever. The guy's very monetized. God bless him, selling these fairy tales. Kettle Truth, me and the kids sat around the campfire last night and told stories, but I'm not going to make a YouTube channel and documentary out and call the doll sighted riding a dragon as truth. Yeah, exactly. Fairy tales have their place, but not in an arena where you're telling people they're true. Linda Moulton Hell might be on her last legs. She might have to do her own deathbed confession. We can only hope she exposes the fraud she has worked with. Yeah, Linda Moulton Hell has had every fake source you can imagine, from fake astronauts to, let's see, Dan Burrish, a fake government biologist that worked on aliens and time travel experiments. Let's see, Anonymous, this guy from the CIA deathbed confession that's completely and totally fake. She's had a fake astronaut. She had a fake Navy SEAL that somebody else debunked and proved that guy wasn't a real Navy SEAL, that he was totally fake. She has all these fake Antarctica whistleblowers. Everything she does is fake. I have no respect for her whatsoever. She's just like the World Weekly News. You know, Clinton meets aliens. That's the quality of her journalism. William Pixley, he is right at the Wilson docs and still generally believes the Lazar story. Look, Pix, I'm not going to argue with you. The Admiral came out and said those documents are fake. Where do you go from there? The source in the so-called leaked documents comes out and says, I don't know anything about this so-called meeting with this guy. This is a work of fiction. He's not right. He's saying they're real. We'll agree to disagree then. Does anyone think Linda Moulton Howe may be CIA? Anything's possible. I would hope they would get somebody a little smarter than her. I don't know. Fake eyebrows. I don't know what that's about. Spartan 1, Don Shipley debunked him. Yes, Spartan 1 was a fake Navy SEAL that Linda Moulton Howe was running around selling. And yeah, BG's just another sellout. It's sad. I will continue to listen, but I'm out. One last thing on Dolan. I hope he will regain some integrity and protect his legacy and contribution to ufology. Peace, y'all. Good show. Jasmine Emmerich, I totally agree with you. I'm going to buy the Linda Moulton Howe autobiography she's been working on now for years, only to read the chapter on her romance with Bigelow. Yeah, Linda Moulton Howe apparently was checked up with Bob Bigelow, or was his mistress. I'm sorry. I apologize, Linda Moulton Howe. I can't keep track of your boyfriends or married men that you're hanging out with. I don't know what happened, but I've heard at various times that she was Bob Bigelow's girlfriend, live-in girlfriend. Then I heard no, Bob Bigelow was married. She was just his mistress. I don't know if any of that's true. It's rumors and speculation. Take from that what you will, but I've heard that. Ooh. Eric Davis said they are fake. They are notes also. Yeah, they're just notes. It doesn't mean they're real. And John Greenwald did some great work on this Admiral Wilson documents and showed that those notes are written like a Hollywood screenplay. That's a little suspect if we're supposed to be. Did that just randomly happen that those notes came out written in the format of a Hollywood screenplay? I don't think so. Okay, Super V Fun Cat. There are some pictures that would indicate they were lovers. Rick von Himmlich Spluner. Yeah, I saw some of those pictures. Eric Davis has called Lazar a total fraud too. Davis is the real deal. I used Eric Davis is a source when I was doing debunks on Bob Lazar because I believed him to be a credible source. You can verify his background and everything. So I don't know. Miss Idaho, if you know what I mean. Interesting. Yeah. And folks, it's been a long day, so I'm going to do something I don't usually do and enjoy a cold beverage. Oh, geez, it's not so cold. It's so hot in here. Let me get the coldest. I got a few here. Let me get the coldest one there. Okay. And friends, here's to getting difficult tasks off your list that you do not want to do. You know, you want to feel good. Here's what you do. Every one of us, we all have these things on our plate, these things that we got to do. And we avoid them. We procrastinate. We don't get to them. We make excuses. Don't do that. Get to them. Get to them right away. Make it work. Do whatever you got to do. Complete the task. You're going to feel great. And, you know, quite honestly, every time I really buckle down and get over some hump that I really need to get out of my life, and tonight was one of those things. I've been putting this off for a long time. So here's to finishing unpleasant tasks that we need to finish. And this one's for Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan, I don't want you to think I'm a bad guy. I would like to talk to you respectfully about these things. If you want to come on my show, great. If you want me to come on your show, I'll do that. And we can have a dialogue. We can maybe something beneficial could come out of all of this for all of us. And we could reach a greater understanding. It's not my intention to belittle you or to make fun of you for mistakes that you've made, simply to educate the public that no one should just be blindly trusted. And yeah, some people get it wrong. You said that yourself, but Mr. Dolan, you've been getting it wrong a lot. And the wrong side of the scale, it could be really overpowering any good work that you did at this point. You're reaching the tipping point. I hope that you can turn things around. That's my wish and my hope for you. I hope you get back to balls to the wall, nuts and bolts, good solid research and real evidence and real stories, because that's what you were doing when I became so obsessed with your work and so respected. I respected the hell out of you. And that respect is just slowly eroded away. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, friends. And sometimes we have to say goodbye to our heroes when we realize who they truly are. You know, I had a friend who once told me not to get too close to your heroes because they'll only let you down. And that's the sad truth of life. Sometimes our heroes are going to let us down. Bee Gees, well done, Stephen. Cheers. Yeah, cheers to you, Bee Gees. So I'm not going to do the whole begging for money pitch too much tonight. I will say there's two ways to support me financially. You can search me on Patreon, or you go to the main channel here, and there's a button, support me on Patreon. And for just $1 a month, you get access to our backstage pass here. That's the only paywall I have. It's $1 a month. The other thing you could do is there's a donate by PayPal button. And if you do donate, I will put a big graphic up on the screen thanking you for your donation in real time if you do that during a show. If you do it after a show, the very next show, I will put things up. Oh, and shout out and thanks to Spooky. And was it Bee Gees? Bee Gees, is that you who called in earlier? I think it was you. Thank you so much for the audio. There was no audio on that one video. It was a save. You saved me, and if I had been monitoring my Twitter messages, I would have saw that Spooky as well alerted me to no audio. I got to be very careful. From now on, I'm going to make a mental note that every time I start playing a video, I'm going to also monitor live chat, because, man, I wish StreamYard would mute audio. That would be the better checkbox. If you want to play something from your browser tab with no audio, they should have you mute the audio instead of enable the audio, because I keep doing that. I keep forgetting to hit the checkbox. That's all that it is, forgetting to hit the checkbox. I don't know. I think these lights are on a timer so that you don't burn them out, or so that you don't leave them on all night. But they shut off after, I think 10 or 20 minutes. I got it. There's a bypass. I looked at it. I looked at the circuit board, and this is how much of a nerd I am. I'm like, I can bypass that timer circuit. And I'm going to do that. Oh, yes, BG's. Had to call, didn't want to miss it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the save because I had no idea. I wasn't looking at the chat. And yeah, sorry about that, friends. I gotta remember. I gotta remember to start doing that right because it keeps happening. You know, it's okay to make mistakes, right? But it's very important that you learn from your mistakes and don't keep making the same mistakes again. And I'm failing miserably at that when it comes to this one thing. Yes, Sixes Design StreamYard does have a channel here on YouTube, and I actually have been in communication with the actual CEO, and we'll see what happens because I'm a software guy too, and I think what they're doing is great. I think that they have an incredible platform. It's basically what Google Hangouts used to let you do, but better and easier and more accessible. And they're charging a very reasonable amount of money to use the software. The only thing that I don't like, and this is unavoidable, is that you got to pay by the month. I would much prefer if I could find some software that I could pay $150 for and I'm done paying for it. I have come out and against things like the Creative Cloud and other pay by the month software, but in this case, I had to make make an exception because I tried with OBS and I just couldn't get it working right. There was all kinds of problems. So free software is great, but sometimes you just got to pay the piper and get work done. And, sometimes that involves compromises. I'm a big believer in free software. OBS is free. And I mean free as in freedom, where you can get the source code and everything. Not free as in price, but OBS is free. God bless anybody using OBS. I couldn't get it working right, not to do all the things I needed to do. Dan Banker chimes in, please look at this. It's the pilot's pics of Papoose Lake. And this, of course, is where Bob Lazar said that Area 51, said that the S4 base, top secret part of Area 51, where he worked on those flying saucers, was right on Papoose Lake. And the hangars were built into the side of a mountain. And all of this nonsensory. Pilot flew over Papoose Lake, and there is nothing there. And Dan Banker got the goods on this first. There should be an option in the settings to always play the audio. No, Dark Ravens, we're using something called StreamYard, which is proprietary software, and you've got to do it their way. You cannot customize the interface. You cannot, Bunya, we could be heroes just for one day. Yeah, we can. BG's phone autocorrect is pissing her off. Still, they could have immediately shut it all down a decade plus ago. Yeah. Rick von Himmlich Spooner, goodbye, Truthseekers. I wish you all a happy and productive day, evening. Yeah, me too. Later, all. Yeah, so it sounds like everybody's jumping out of here, and now would be the proper time then to wrap things up. So, friends, I'm glad that you could be here it was really nice to see some friendly faces in the live chat to go and do this thing that I really didn't want to do and to get over my anxiety about doing it. It was good to see you all here and supportive people that want to get to the truth like me. So, friends, it's never easy, like I said, when your heroes let you down. But I believe that every man deserves a road to redemption. Every man. My hope is that Richard Dolan will find it. So, friends, until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion, reminding you that the truth, people deserve the truth. People deserve the truth, friends, even if it's an ugly truth. Good night, folks.